Good morning, park managers. Today we are on Jurassic World Evolution 2 and I'm going to be making an enclosure for the Spinosaurus inspired from the Walking with Dinosaurs episode that we see the Spinosaurus Sobek in. So yeah, we've got a 4x4 enclosure ready for the build here. So I think first things first, we would fill everything with dirt. I know it's going to look similar to the rest of the builds that we've got here, but because obviously we filled those with dirt. Unfortunately, we never got to see this build. Well, what happened was my recording decided to record without any sound attached to it, so there's no voice, no game over, anything like that. So I was like, well, I cut my losses with that one. It doesn't matter too much if we get the dirt outside this box because we're just going to be doing our showcase grid system. So yeah, we're going to fill this with dirt. And we're going to place the trees individually. For this as well, we'll have water on this edge. And the bit, I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to ruin it for anyone that's not seen it yet. So this particular bit here is going to be a combination of two slots in a sense. So I'm going to fill this like this with water. I might take a little bit from there because it means I won't get the path. But it doesn't matter too much. You can imagine this being a very big river like front that we're coming up to, and we'll do it so it's a bit shaped like so. Because obviously what I do with these builds, obviously I do them in a square. It just makes it easier to show off how I'm building that type of environment. And it's up to you with what you want to do with it. If you want to stick it into a site B, make it a certain area of that site B, or make the whole thing into a site B, or completely graft your own enclosure around these ideas. These are just like helping ideas to give like little bits of inspiration with your builds. So that is going to be our main water source. Now we will use the sand around this bit here. It's like a little bit of a beachy area, and I'll leave on the other side just so we establish which bit is the sort of the beach, the bank kind of area. And then we're going to raise the ground up ever so slightly. To be honest, I should have dipped it so then I don't have to raise too much, but I mean, we can do this and we'll just smooth it out so it lends itself to rest. But you can imagine you want to do your bank with a slight raise in a sense, so then it's quite defining, it's quite different. Now we're not going to use too many brushes on this one. I won't do the brushes yet. We'll do the main trees, because if you you'll know exactly what I'm going for the scene that I'm about to do here. But it was a beautiful overshot scene, and I think the Malta trees are going to help me achieve that kind of look that I want. And it was just like a really interesting scrubland kind of vibe, where the trees were they did have some, I try not to get them in line with each other, trying to make them look a bit wacky and different. But the trees were perfectly separated from one another, and I think I'll delete these two trees because there was like in one of the other overshot scenes there's like a nice straight line, like a path leading right up to the riverbanks there, which I thought was a really cool look. We'll go back to Malta's. We came up to delete those two trees. There we go. Which I thought was a really cool look. So I'm going to use the gallery as that straight line, so you can look pretty much straight to the riverbed itself. But I don't know if you've been watching the Walking with Dinosaurs series. Let me know if you've been enjoying them, and try and keep your comments a bit spoiler free. But like I said, if you've watched it, you'll know exactly the two scenes I'm using for inspiration on this build. And this is one of the big things I always say: if you're ever struggling for ideas, use what you see like on TV shows, if you've been to zoos, natural environments that may be near you. Like a good reason to why I like making sand dunes. Not too far from me there is a sand dune, and I always think sand dunes are a very beautiful environment to go and have a nosy at. I think that's what we're going to do for our trees. We've got a nice narrow line, so you got that shot, beautiful line straight to the riverbank, and then we have ourselves our nice little tree shapes. And like I said, if you've watched it, you'll know the scene. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm looking forward to your comments on that episode, because the Spinosaurus episode, the Spinosaurus arc with Sobek was really cool. I honestly, it's probably one of my favorite out of all the ones I've watched. Now going on to the tree area, there was like green, like maybe not that much, maybe this brush might do it better. Yes, that brush does it a lot better. There was green just around the trees, and then these like narrow tufts of just dirt and nothing, which I don't know what the I've never really looked too much into scrubland, because there isn't really any scrublands near me, and I don't know why that's a thing. Like, it doesn't generally look like a path, because you could still walk by the tree. Like, I'm just wondering what is the vibe. Maybe is it because the roots are holding all the water and that's allowing things to grow around the tree, and then this part of the ground is just so dry and dusty that nothing grows there. It's just it was a really interesting look to it, which I'm going to try and capture in this build. And again, this is just one of those nice, it's another nice simple build. I want to try and get that bit of line there. It's just a really nice simple build. Like you can see, we haven't spent all that long. I mean, I spent a bit of time yapping, so maybe shy of, like, we spent 5 minutes on this, if that. Also clearing up my my mistakes, and to really just give that dustiness feeling around. Obviously around the trees we'll keep it dirt, but on this path we're going to gently blotch in some of the sand, because I feel like that will give us that look that we're going to go for, that dry, dusty sort of look in between, the nice little path leading up to the riverbank, like so. I'm trying to still leave those like little lines in between. Maybe it's also because of the shade of the trees, like around the clock, just protecting part of the ground from getting too dry from the sun. Maybe that's the case. If you know environments and you know much about scrublands, because I mean, yeah, I could easily quite Google it, but if you know much, just let me know in the comments what you think it could be to why there's these random dirt lines in between the trees. I'm now starting to think it could be because of the shade of the sun, you know, shade from the sun. That's going to be my kind of thought. So yeah, we're just going to blotch up to make it look kind of different around here. The sand obviously is going to get dragged up from the banks. We have that dry kind of look which we want to achieve, and also just add something a little bit different. And we might just mess around with the height from some of the trees, just so they stand out and they don't all look completely level, in a sense, because like these trees are too like very levelly. So we'll just put it on here. It's on its shortest radius, so do that. We do that there. Maybe this one to that one. That's the same as that one, so we'll leave that one. We'll just raise that like that. It just makes the ground different, because obviously when you just have a flat enclosure, it becomes very apparent very quickly. So sometimes it's just nice to try and like make it slightly different. And also once we've done this raising like this, we can just smooth it just out a little bit, spreads out a little bit more. I know it's bringing it back down slightly, but it kind of at least makes it feel like it belongs the way we've done it. So they've got more height, different things like this, and then around these trees there's like these bushy kind of vibes. So the question is, what do we want to go for? Like, what's this going to give us? I mean, the problem is, because we are on the tropical map, it's going to look quite lush anyways. I think maybe that, it has that kind of grass vibe, and just do that underneath and around the trees, just to give the ground a different look. And then we'll go around with probably maybe the desert rock. I think the desert rock might be a little bit too orange, but this is the thing, when building these kind of environments, experiment, see what works, see what fits for you, what looks the best. So already it's looking quite nice, and it's coming together slowly. And like I said, this is just one of those simple builds. Yes, you'll need a new gen console or PC to achieve this, unless you're on the Malta map. Then the Malta trees are there ready for you, and the Malta map already has that dryness, so it will probably add to that scrubland look, so you could probably make it look even more like it does in the series compared to this, because obviously we're in a tropical map for this one, so everything's going to look lush and green and beautiful. But we're still going to try and achieve that sort of look. Now, it looks alright when I place on the sand, but then it is a bit of an eye popper there. What about... could do that, I suppose. Maybe I think I will go for the temperate, looking at the rocks. Like the desert ones do look good in the sand, and it's almost like I've been covered in sand. So maybe I'll do a mix. Maybe, yeah. Because we want the dry kind of look. I think the just yellowness of the desert rocks in the green looked a bit abnormal. So yeah, we'll go for temperate rocks somewhat around in these kind of areas, on the dirt, on the green. And again, we're just adding extra things to make it stand out, make it look a bit different, rather than, like, people say sometimes, like, their builds to me, like, oh, it's not as good, I feel like there's more that can be done. And it's just layering, adding layers, because, like, obviously sometimes you're not going to come across boulders all the time like this, but it's definitely going to add something extra to look at, like something extra in the background. Now, what I'm not going to be doing, because I don't want to take too much, like the trees are already going to take the height of the Spinosaurus, I'm only going to use the 3 small rocks, because the big rocks, like that for example, and this one, will take a little bit of height away from the dinosaur. That's another thing to incorporate into your build, is how's your dinosaur going to look in this? Is it going to get lost in here? Like, do you want a lost kind of look? But with this one, we're going for a scrubland, and when watching the episode, it didn't really look like there's many places for Sobek to get lost in. So we're not going to try and lose them. Like the trees, yep, they're pretty tall, really shady, like they were in the episode. But then at the same time, there wasn't like tons of shrubbery and bushes, apart from like certain points, but they weren't really in like a temperate zone at that point. They were going through like a different area. Again, I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to ruin it for anyone that hasn't watched it yet. I pretty much only said what you can really see somewhat in the... Yeah, you can only... The bits I've said you see in the trailers. So, unless you're one of those people that don't watch trailers, then maybe you might know a bit more about the episode now from just the way this enclosure looks. Or either that, I am completely way off. It's whatever your opinion is. Like I said, with Jurassic World Evolution 2, imagination is everything about this game. You have to have a bit of imagination to get where you're wanting to go, because obviously we're making what we can with what little we have without mods. And already, see what I mean? That the rocks are adding a little bit of extra like detail to this enclosure. Maybe I put a bit too many rocks, but once we start getting the sandy rocks in the sand zone, because obviously it kind of feels weird, it's like this bare bit of where there's just absolutely nothing going on apart from just brushes. So we're going to try not add too much. Well, there's like a little scatter of rocks here. So just try and fill in these gaps, because obviously it looks like the only area where the rocks are is on these little mounds and around the trees, which then again, you know, rocks do trap in moisture, so that's why, you know, like deserts, you see like in rocky areas there's plants just hanging on for dear life, and things like that. Not in all cases, but in some cases that's where you're going to find them, especially animals as well. So yeah, we're going to just add like the odd bit here and there. Just change the rocks up, add like a big do to that one, and then kind of slowly kind of connect it to this like that. Anywhere else feel it? I won't do it too. A little bit here, a little bit there, and ta-da! I already quite enjoying this. And what I might do, I might slope this a little bit so it looks like it's been heavily walked on. So I want to guess, like, I don't know, to be honest, from the shot it looks kind of man-made, that little area, like they've put all that down so people have easy access to the water. That's what it kind of looks like to me anyways, but there might be a reason to it. It just looks very sharp for nature. But yeah, I'll just do the odd rock here and there like this, maybe mix it up a little bit like that. We'll add a big one here. And then yeah, we'll just sharpen this just a little bit, little bit, yeah, like so. Just do it like that, and then we'll just smooth it off a little bit like this. And then yeah, actually adds a bit more sharpness to it, a bit more depth to it. The feeder we'll put bang on in the center so they can sort of see it straight from the gallery. So it's about there. And then that is our enclosure ready for adding. We're gonna call him Sobek. Why not? We're gonna add Sobek into this enclosure, and then I'll do a bit of a montage at the end. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some inspiration of your builds. Let me know in the comments. Is there anything particular, like any kind of particular environment or scenery you'd like to see me try and make within Jurassic World Evolution 2? And just maybe I might give it a go. So yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching.
What's your story?